Welcome to worship at First Universalist Church. Just take a deep breath in and out. Let us settle in our seats, in our bodies, as we prepare ourselves to enjoy our fabulous prelude from our music director, Brock Chesvold. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the First Universalist Church of Rochester, where we are called to nurture the spirit and to serve the community. Whoever you are welcome here. Wherever you come from, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, you are welcome here. And whatever it took for you to get here to this virtual sacred space this morning, we are so grateful you are here. You are welcome here. All of you are welcome here. It is good to be together this morning. We acknowledge every Sunday morning when we gather with respect the Seneca Nation, keepers of the Western Door and part of the Haudenosaunee people on whose ancestral and present-day lands First Universalist now stands. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you. Welcome. Glad you've made it here to this virtual sacred space. We have a visitors forum in the chat for you to fill out so we can offer you a welcome beyond just this virtual sacred worshiping space. Please fill it out at your convenience so we can get to know you a little better. As we've been gathering, folks have been popping into the chat to say good morning, how are ya? I'm here. Please pop into the chat if you haven't yet, just to say hello. Love to get a sense of who's here and how you're doing this morning. Welcome to worship at First Universalist Church. Our hymn this morning, our opening hymn, is hymn number 346. Come sing a song with me. Let us join hearts and voices in singing together this morning, recognizing that even as we are singing muted from our own homes or from wherever we're zooming in from, we are creating a collective song across our city of Rochester, our country, and the world. So let us join in singing hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Come sing a song with me. Come was born 2 years before the merger of the Unitarian and Universalist denominations, the son of a Universalist minister who served historically Unitarian churches for much of my childhood. Those were the years of humanistic individualism, when our movement became more of an overt rebellion against mainstream Christianity and less, perhaps, of a home for spiritual aspiration and fulfillment. But the 60s, for all of its faults and virtues, is just a chapter in our history now, and the modern UU movement has been learning to embrace the longer story. For many, we remain a refuge from the narrow intolerance of some other childhood religion. For others, who grew up without any form of organized religion, we've become a source of hope and purpose in an otherwise cynical world. Here, we avow our faith in the sacredness of life, the gifts of the natural world, the potential in every human soul, and to paraphrase our forebears, the power of people of goodwill and sacrificial spirit to overcome the evil in our world and to progressively establish a heaven here on earth. Come, let us worship together. As Reverend Lane lights the chalice at First Universalist Church, and as many of us do so in our own homes, will you join me in saying our chalice words in unison? May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Please join me now in our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. We are the heirs of all that our ancestors have wrought, their science and their art, accomplishments and failures, joys and pains. As people of faith, we aspire to leave more joys and fewer pains to coming generations. We commit our church to this task. We endow it with time and treasure, and we remember it each Sunday in our offering. Please click on the link in the Zoom chat window to give online to the First Universalist Church. You can also, of course, send a check in the physical mail. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Thank you so much, Brock. What a beautiful offering piece. I've never heard Let Us Break Bread Together in that way. So thank you. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite songs. So thank you. This morning's story is actually going to be a story from Amanda Gorman, whom I believe many of us are familiar with, as she was the inaugural poet for the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And she wrote a children's book around the same time that she wrote that same poem, that same inaugural poem that many of us know, called Change Sings. Now we know that February is Black History Month, and First Universalist has taken a pretty year-long stance around including many sources, including Black voices, Latinx voices, Indigenous voices, voices from people of color in our liturgy regularly. And we do this month in particular with particular attention to Black voices, recognizing that this is, of course, Black History Month and we need to honor that, but also recognizing that it is part of our commitment to make room for Black futures and to honor the Black present. And so we include this resource especially to get to honor Amanda Gorman's voice and also to get to explore a little bit about what helps us navigate change. So let's join in this story. The story is Change Sings, a children's anthem by Amanda Gorman with pictures by Lauren Long. And I'll invite you to really pay attention to the pictures. They're gorgeous. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I am a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. Though it may take, though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries. Oh wait, what the heck, where am I now? I'm so sorry, y'all, I lost my spot. Hang on just a second. Oh, I think I might have actually, oh, here we are, I'm so sorry. I show others tolerance, though it may take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? The end. a beautiful poem from Amanda Gorman, and a gorgeous children's book, a resource I would recommend to anyone who has kids in their lives right now. Dear ones, it is our time to enter now into this ritual time of sharing some of the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. I want to invite everybody who would like to place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered space. One of the things that I really appreciate about being online is we can still take this practice into how we engage in this ritual here from wherever we are. As I place stones into a bowl of water, I will read aloud the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. And all are also invited to share any joys and sorrows that you would not like read aloud, but that you'd like the community to hold in the chat, as a way to invite folks to just share whatever is on your heart and mind this morning, any of the joys and the sorrows that you come into this space carrying, bringing here with you. So let us just prepare our hearts and minds to hear the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. I share today a joy from Richard Reed. This past Wednesday, February 2nd, I talked with Carol Viverberg. It was her birthday. She sounds great and says hi to everyone. She was going to be spending the day with her family. A stone of gratitude, Richard, for you checking in on her, and a stone to also just hold Carol in our hearts and in our thoughts. This morning, a joy from Lois Baum. Lois, we are celebrating your successful cataract surgery with no complications. Woohoo! I'm seeing some applause in the chat, in the screens. Lois, so glad, no complications. A joy on behalf of Charlie Kortzel, whose musical performance of the spiritual Hush is being used this morning by the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Sterling, Virginia. So a stone of congratulations for Charlie, and also holding the congregation in Sterling, Virginia in our hearts and minds as they prepare themselves for some musical fabulosity. A joy from Jean Ott. Jean and Joe Ott are excited to announce, and we've been waiting for this, that Conrad Benjamin and Jonas Aiden Himes were born Monday, January 31st. Oh, we had Laura, their older sister, with us the first 5 nights. Himes family reunited at home Wednesday. Mom and Dad are exhausted already. Of course they are. So Jean, a stone for you and for Joe, and also just a stone for Mom and Dad, for the parents, recognizing, my goodness, how exhausting that is. My gosh. We also have an additional joy from Joe and Jean Ott. On January 23rd, Joe and Jean Ott celebrated 40 years of marriage. Wow. We are planning a trip to Hilton Head Island for later this spring. 40 years ago, we got married during a blizzard in the Unitarian Universalist Church in Springfield, Massachusetts. Well, happy anniversary to y'all. This morning, I want to just lift up a sorrow from both Becky and Bill Elwell, that Becky has been in the hospital for this past week. So I would just ask you to hold her in your thoughts and prayers. She's expected to stay a couple more days. Just keep holding her in your thoughts and prayers. And Bill, we are thinking of you and here to support you. Oh, dear ones, I will put a stone in our bowl for all of the joys being shared in our chat. A stone for all of the sorrows. And one final stone to be placed into the bowl for all of the joys and the sorrows that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. May all be held in the heart of love. As we have each Sunday during this pandemic, I will also light our white candle to honor that we are a community living in the midst of so many different emotions: fear, hope, exhaustion, annoyance, disappointment, grief, as a community that is living through a pandemic together. May the light of this candle honor our various experiences. May it keep hope alive for good health and well-being. May it be a beacon of hope and a reminder that we are not alone. And dear ones, it is always good to be here with you this morning because it is always a reminder to me that I am not alone and that none of us here are alone. We are here together this morning, here in this togetherness. And I actually want to invite us for our meditation and prayer time this morning. I want to actually invite us into a blessing time for this gathering, a blessing for the gathered. So if you would like, I'll invite you to take your hands away from your keyboard, place your hands wherever feels comfortable for you to be in a rested and relaxed position. If it's helpful to you, you can close your eyes or do whatever it is that you do to go into your mind's eye, that heart space, that meditative space. Just lean back in your chair, get comfortable where you are. A blessing for the gathered. For each of us who has made our way to this sacred space this morning. For those who almost made it here. For those who had every intention of coming. For the generations of people who gathered here. Here in Rochester, here on this land where we find ourselves living. Here at First Universalist Church. For generations of people who gathered here. For those who only came one time. For those whose families sat faithfully in the same pew for years on end, may this be a blessing in the midst of our gathering. May we feel the power of those who have gone before us. May we be strengthened by their stories of survival and thriving and living. And may we learn from their shortcomings, their mistakes, what they did not anticipate. May we be inspired by our ancestors to live our lives together in relationship. May you be known in this community. May you feel honored as a whole person, in body, in mind, and in spirit. May you feel nourished by your connections here. May you know how to ask for what you need from those that you care for, those whom you sit next to, those whom you move alongside. May you feel the power of our gathering, even if it is not in a way that feels ideal or comfortable or even all that connected to you. May you bring your whole self here. May this community be trustworthy enough of your authentic expression and authentic self. May we learn to show up for one another well. May this place be a place where folks come to find connection, not out of a hope rooted in the past, but out of the ever-present love felt here in the present moment. In our gathering, may we be grateful. Grateful for the chance to keep coming together. Grateful for the gifts of our community. Grateful for this day. Grateful for the Spirit which brings us together and holds us even in times when it feels too hard to show our faces here. Grateful for all that community and belonging have brought into our lives. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Blessed be. And may it be so. As we prepare to enter into some silent reflection together, I'll invite you to just get quiet and listen. To listen to the gifts of community, of belonging in your life, and to sit with some of the questions around why we are together. Let us join in some shared silence. As we come back from our shared silence together, I'll invite you to sing our hymn of contemplation for the month of February, hymn number 352, Find a Stillness. Well, dear ones, this week I received a bit of a gift. In that, I was set to preach with you all this Sunday about the purpose of our gathering, and to kind of explore with you all what it looks like to be gathered as a community now. Pretty rich topic, to be honest with you. And this week in the New York Times, an op-ed was published by Tish Harrison Warren called "Why Churches Should Drop Their Online Services." And I don't know if any of you have seen this. I think probably maybe some of you have here and there, but I wanted to bring her article to our attention so we could talk about it today. So, she starts out her article by kind of going through what we have been through over the last couple of years. And many of you have been here with us, but, so like this trajectory on being online, hybrid formats of online and in person, now being back to online. And so, that's kind of how she starts her article. And then she writes, Now I think it's time to drop the virtual option. And I think this for the same reason I believed churches should go online back in March of 2020. This is the way to love God and our neighbors. For all of us, even those who aren't churchgoers, bodies with all the risks, danger, limits, mortality, and vulnerability that they bring are part of our deepest humanity, not obstacles to be transcended through digitization. Try saying that one 3 times fast. They are humble and humbling gifts to be embraced. Online church, while it was necessary for a season, diminishes worship and us as a people. We seek to worship wholly, with heart, soul, mind, and strength, and embodiment is an irreducible part of that wholeness. There is still risk, of course, but the goal was never, and ought never be, to eliminate all the risk of illness or death. Throughout the past 2 years, we have sought to balance the risk of disease with the good of being present in person with one another, and the cost of being apart from one another is steep. People need physical touch and interaction. We need to connect with other human beings through our bodies, through the ordinary vulnerability of looking into their eyes, hearing their voice, sharing their space, their smells, their presence. Whether or not one attends religious services, people need embodied community. We find it in book clubs or having friends over for dinner, but embodiment is a particularly important part of Christian spirituality and theology. We believe God became flesh, lived in a human body, and remains mysteriously in a human body. Our worship is centered not on simply thinking about certain ideas, but on eating and drinking bread and wine during communion. These are not mere accessories to a certain kind of worship experience. These moments form and shape who we are and what we believe. One might ask, why not have both? Why not meet in person with COVID precautions in place, but also continue to offer the option of a live stream service? Because offering church online implicitly makes embodiment elective. It presents in-person gatherings as something we can opt in or out of with little consequence. It assumes that embodiment is more of a consumer preference, like whether or not you buy hardwood floors, than a necessity, like whether or not you have shelter. And therein ends our reading for this morning. Now, I tell you that I received a gift this past week because I really want to bring this conversation to you all, because this is the livest conversation around our ecclesiology right now in church. Wondering what ecclesiology is? I'll get to that in a second. But first, I'm bringing this here to you all because I have struggled with attention in my heart as your minister. And I want to just talk with you all explicitly about this morning, because it's worth us having open conversations about where we're at and what's going on for us. I've held a concern since we've reopened our church about creating 2 communities, an online community and an in-person community. I've held deep concerns about the loss of connection in these last 2 years in our church community, and the loss of feeling connected that comes from not being in our building and connecting in the ways that we used to connect. I am concerned about what we are doing to gather and to connect, because gathering is important to me and is important and central to this church. And of course, I am also concerned with the high cost of social isolation and what that means for one's mental health, for folks to be physically distant. I'm concerned about that for you all, and I'm concerned about that for myself. I'm concerned about that for all of us. The cost is high to stay separated for so long, and to stay out of this mode of being connected with one another. At the heart of our Unitarian Universalist theology, A belief in the power of connecting is central. One of our main reasons for gathering is to connect and build relationship with one another. This is the ecclesiological question of our time. How are we gathering right now in ways that honor what we believe? How does what we believe inform how we are gathering? So ecclesiology is the theology of church and gathering. It's this really whatever $1 million word that ministers will often use or seminarians will often use to describe what it is that we're doing on Sunday morning, throughout the week, how we're gathering, how are we together? What brings us together? And how, this is sort of the study in theology about how our gathering is an expression of what we believe. So in this very moment, right now, what does how we are gathering now say about what we believe? Right now, from my vantage point, we are saying we care for and love one another. And so the safety of our community in this Omicron surge, for the safety of our community, we shifted online. I would say that some of what we believe is we still believe in connecting to one another and gathering. You would not be here this morning if it's not something that you believed in. You wouldn't be one of the 71 Zoom logins that we have this morning if you didn't believe in the power of gathering. At the heart of our Unitarian Universalist ecclesiology is covenant, held alongside norms for gathering physically, right? So covenant are the promises that we make to one another about how we're going to be together, but also, a covenant doesn't usually sort of get prescriptive with rules or norms. I would say that for our church, our decisions to be online, this is a covenantal act. This is an agreement that we've made about how we're going to be together. We're going to be online when it's not safe for us to gather in person. We're going to gather in person when we can establish good safety parameters for us to be together in person. Asking for folks to be vaxxed and masked and boosted in our congregation is a covenantal act. It is a promise that we're making to one another to create a safer space. Having agreements about how we're going to be together. I'm going to say, I don't agree with the sentiments from this article. I don't want to get too far into presenting an idea to you and then just tearing it down. I'm interested in kind of hearing what you all are interested, or where you enter into this. Though, I understand the grief and the hurt below what Tish Harrison Warren is writing. I feel it. I feel that grief at our gathering, at the ways that we have done this. I feel this grief every Sunday morning when I come in here to an empty sanctuary to preach to you all, which I do because I know it feels important to you all to be able to see your church, and it also feels really good to me to be able to at least be here leading worship with you all from here. I understand the grief because I too would love for our church and our society and our lives to go back to a place where we were before. And I would really love that because I'm just gonna be honest with you all, I was good at that kind of ministry before. I was trained for it, I was here for it. This is a whole nother level of what we're doing as a congregation and where we're going. And our task is to grieve that world together as a community where we once were, making space in our hearts to celebrate the learnings and the possibilities and the great experiments that are coming out of this time. It is amazing that there are 72 of us here this morning, and probably even more because a few of you are there together. But it is amazing that we have learned how to do this. It is amazing that Charlie's music is being featured in another congregation this morning because, that can happen, and Charlie can still be here with us. Things we never thought possible before. And our task now is to imagine what could be, maybe even to fantasize about what could be, rather than limiting ourselves to what we know. A few critiques that I read this past week. In an article from Religion Dispatches by Daniel Schultz, he quotes author and disability activist Samir Nego in responding to this article, saying, "There's something deeply condescending and ableist about the idea that proponents of online church options don't believe or understand that bodies are part of our deepest humanity, not obstacles to be transcended through digitization. Bodies that require assistance are still bodies. And accepting assistance comes from a place of understanding one's body and its limits, not beliefs in transcending / rejecting / abandoning embodiment," Nego continues. "I am a human over Zoom, and I am a human in my wheelchair. These pieces of technology enable me to engage with the world around me physically and socially. To deny me, then, would not make me more human, just more isolated." Feels really important here. We have to lift up voices of disability activists and disability folks, disability justice advocates around this issue, especially around sort of this piece about embodiment, right? We're talking about the body and how the body is being engaged in this worshiping experience. Important pieces to lift up. And also from a church blogger, Warren Throckmorton. "For centuries, churches haven't had an easy technological solution to bring church services into our homes. We've been able to get video recordings of big-name preachers for a long time. We know whose voices get prioritized there. However, the pandemic brought this tech to almost every local church. Now people can look in on their church and hear their singers and their preacher, even if the sound is sketchy, which would never happen here, of course. And the preaching isn't polished. It's local and familiar, right? Obviously, that's never happening here either. It is local and familiar, and that is the point, right? Like, this has meant a lot to people. I am surprised that Warren shrugs that off." He continues to write, "Furthermore, there are numerous reasons why people might need to have access to services via broadcast. Churches looking for ways to multiply this reach. Their reach have had this dropped in their laps. I can't see anything positive that will come from just giving up." And I have to say, I do not want us to reject the beautiful gifts of this time period. And one of them is now that we have access to online church that is interactive, imperfect, and accessible. That this morning, Steve Farrington is not feeling well. He's here with us this morning. He's able to be here with us this morning in worship, even if he's not feeling well. If we believe that Unitarian Universalism has good news to offer, I believe that. I'm imagining some of you are here too who believe that. We are doing our part to amplify Unitarian Universalism's message and theology, and to invite more folks in Rochester and beyond into a community of connection, theological reflection, and more. Our music is being shared in ways we could not have previously imagined. Not only Charlie's music, but also our choir's rendition of Mark Miller's Draw the Circle Wide has been shared with worshiping communities across our country, including the Church of the Larger Fellowship, the largest UU church in our denomination, and one with a reach into our incarcerated UU worshiping community. Things we could have never thought possible before now. And I went to an online conference this past week, which actually was very nourishing for the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. And they brought a scholar there, Anthony Pinn, who's done some amazing work around, Dr. Anthony Pinn has done some amazing work around Black humanist thought. For folks here who are looking into humanist thought and looking for a Black writer in that arena, Dr. Anthony Pinn is amazing. It wasn't the research he was presenting, but some of what he was talking about was liberal religion's task right now to let go of our cling on imagination and to engage in fantasy. He said, one of our issues right now is that we are still in this mode of imagining what could be based on what has been and what we have already experienced. And Dr. Anthony Pinn is inviting us, I'll be talking about this more, of course. Anthony Pinn is inviting us to think about What could be outside of that realm entirely? Some of the questions he was asking in his presentation this past week is like, can we gather on days outside of Sunday in different ways that are informed by our beautiful aspirational theology? Can we gather in different ways shaped by our theology, starting with our theology as the starting point? What do we believe? How do we form our gatherings in that way? Fantasy asks us to look beyond what could have been previously imagined and to take ourselves into new places outside of our comfort zone, outside of what we have previously known and imagined. And I think this time period, we really need some of that thinking. We use this platform for connection, for high connection. Many other churches have chosen to start streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube. We have chosen this platform because folks care about connecting with each other here. Folks care about seeing each other's faces every Sunday. I preach to you all in gallery views. I can see you every Sunday because I do not want to be disconnected from you while I'm preaching here. And I will say, the first Sunday that we came back to worship in person a month ago, can you believe it's been a month? I can't. But a month ago, the first time we came together to worship in person, I have to tell you that that morning, I felt a sense of relief. I felt relieved that we were going to be one worshiping community back together again. I felt relieved that I could be able to see folks who were joining us online. I felt the sense of relief that we could be able to come back together and maybe think through some of these issues together. I don't know if any of you have been feeling this disconnect for you between, like, if you're worshiping with us online, I don't know how well connected you're feeling to our folks who are in person. And if you're worshiping with us in person, I don't know how connected you're feeling to the folks online. There's something here for us to pay attention to. There's something here that we have to pay attention to for our community, for the good of our community. I wonder if you have ideas about how to better bring our community together as one community as we move through this surge and likely will be moving towards gathering both in person and online in the future. I'm here this morning to hold the possibility that online worship will be an option for all of us when we need it, for the Sundays ahead. And to also hold the possibility and the promise of getting to explore and experiment and examine what we're doing here. I think there's a lot of arena for us to get to explore. And as we explore, we have to hold on to the certainty that online church is here to stay. It's here to be with us. I think folks in this congregation we've been having this conversation. I think it's something that we want and that we need. But I just want to say that after having read our reading this morning and shared that with you all. To me, online church is here to stay. My wish for you this morning is to live deeper into what we believe and being thoughtful about how we gather. May you find ways to shore up and explore your beliefs here in relationship, in connection together. And may your beliefs and your sense of identity and your sense of who you are in the world be deepened and strengthened by this community. Let us hold together all that is possible and all that could be. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. At the end of our gathering this morning, it felt important to really invite you to sing one of my favorite hymns in our hymnal of all time, hymn number 318, We Would Be One. And Brock has brought us this beautiful arrangement with these gorgeous visuals. And I might also just invite you to imagine, as we're singing, around who is the we in this song for you, and where are you finding oneness? So let us sing out joyfully from home, again, creating a collective song wherever we find ourselves. I would love to hear it again, Brock, but I think we're done with that one for now. Thank you. Dear ones, as we join in extinguishing our chalice flame, would you please join us in our chalice extinguishing words in unison? We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. Dear ones, I'll invite you now, if you would like, to reach out to the edge of your screens, to connect with one another, to put your view into gallery view so that we do not have to, just think we're here by ourselves. We are here together. Let us connect, reach out, take a moment to just look upon the faces of those who are gathered here with a grateful heart for everyone who made it here this morning. May you be reminded this morning that you are not alone, that you yourself can be strengthened in community. May we all be reminded this morning of those who have been gathering here for years and years and years, and hold in our hearts those who will gather here in the years and days and months ahead. May you go forth from this place knowing that your connections are sacred, knowing that you are loved. May you go bring that love wherever you may go. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Dear friends, as we come to a time to close our service, I want to just put in an extra plug for coffee hour after our service. If you want to get connected here, come to coffee hour 10 minutes after our postlude. It's a great way to get to know folks and get into some small groups and chat with each other. I'll invite you to follow our benediction this morning with the words, I commit to gathering in community, as we join in enjoying our postlude from our fabulous music director, Brock Cheswell.